Welcome everyone to a new video. Today, we'll be comparing 3 different transmissions for the Wentworth DT40L, Beamng.Drive city bus. All these transmissions and more can be found in Mr. Rad's Variety Channels mod. I'll drop some links in the description, so definitely check them out. The bus used on all drives will have the exact same diesel engine, producing 345 brake horsepower. Most transmissions really suffer climbing hills. They usually slip through first and second gears. Looks like the torque converter has decided to stay in fluid phase and to hold second gear. This means that the engine is connected to the transmission through oil and not fully mechanically, probably because the engine is dreading torque to climb the hill and the RPMs would be too low if the converter stayed locked. And why not shift into first gear? Well, mainly to save fuel and to avoid changing gears twice. You can see how the RPMs have dropped. The torque converter is now fully locked. These are my final impressions of the Ecomat 4HP502C. It has predictable shifting behavior, and it's also a simple transmission since it only has 4 gears. However, it is the opposite of boring to drive, especially with the classic Ecomat sounds when shifting. Because of its age, it is very mechanical, and you can feel connected to the engine. Shifts are smooth enough, and they are quick for its age. These are my final impressions about the Allison T-375R. I like how it manages the hydraulic stage. Also, very smooth transition. However, there's not much mechanical connection with the engine. At least, really powerful kickdowns and smooth plus quick gear changes. This is a great 6-speed transmission for a city bus. finally, these are my final impressions about the Diwa NXT. Transmission is surprisingly smooth and has a quick shifting behavior. I like that it always knows what you want to do. It combines all the advantages of a classic Voith and an eco life. However, first gear should be shorter and sometimes get stuck and won't upshift. Overall, the Diwa NXT is recreated almost completely perfect, except for the first gear behavior. I had the luck to study this transmission's behavior in real life on an Iveco Crossway hybrid in mountain roads. And I don't have words to describe how good this transmission is, making hills feel comfortable with smooth shifting and a quiet retarder. Overall, each transmission is a bit different, since I compared these transmissions just for fun. The Ecomat is the oldest transmission, and you can tell. However, there isn't anything wrong with that. It's fun to drive, and has the classic Ecomat howls. But since it's only a 4-speed, the gaps between each gear are wider. Also, you know exactly what the transmission is going to do. It is very predictable. The Allison is what comes to mind when talking about city bus transmission. It could be compared with the newer ZF's Ecolife, but with the old howling sounds. I'd say the T-375R is jack of all trades, master of none. Lastly, we've tested the Voith Diwa NXT, the newest transmission of today. It has that hydraulic stage on first gear known on Voiths. Thanks to its 7 gears, you get low RPMs on highway speeds and an optimal acceleration on hills due to the small difference between gears. It's very fun to drive and makes you feel the engine's power at its constant high RPMs.